can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy.
Welcome back to the DFS Karma and Bet Karma PGA show. We're here to preview the best week of the year. I think there's no doubt about that. It's Masters week. Sam, fresh off vacation. AC, little dad narrative here for the Masters. First major as a father. I mean, we have a ton of narratives to go over here, and it's Masters week, baby. Let's do it. Sam, how are you? You can lead us off here. It's incredible he's frozen already. All right, AC, you're up first.
I mean, it doesn't shock me at all. I mean, come on, Sam. Just get home from Italy, little vacation. He's just stuck there. He's frozen.
I'm feeling good.
Look at him here. This is incredible. We were on here for a half hour talking. Sam doesn't lag one bit, and now he can't even get a sentence out.
Must be because I'm trying to stream. I mean, you guys are cool. I must be trying to stream porn or something. I don't know. Sorry. Yeah, going back, I feel great. I mean, I don't mean to be like this guy, but I am kind of glad I took vacation last week because that tournament did not look like it was the most exciting. I did not watch any of it until like the back nine yesterday. Anthony, we know that you had JJ Spawn and Final Thoughts. We don't care. But yeah, this is the best week of the year. I know everyone has like their weeks, or I know like madness is a big thing for a lot of people, but yeah, this is like the best. And we have, I'll know tomorrow we're off. All
right, Sam, you're lagging as usual. I'm going to take over. Listen, it's Masters week. It's exciting. This is going to be a ton of fun. I actually mentioned in Discord, I hate saying this over the years, but, and this is for me personally. Again, Jared, feel free to interject, on your end as well. But, ironically enough, I don't have great DFS Masters years. And I mean, maybe that changes this week. But for anybody out there listening that's somewhat new or not used to playing DFS golf as much, because we know we're going to get a bunch of dumb money, quote unquote, in the market this week, which is actually really great for cash games. I got to admit, it's going to be nice to actually play more volume in cash games this week. But the reality is, I believe there's 90 golfers, 91 golfers. There's going to be a lot of 6-6 lineups, guys. I mean, you'll probably hear this on other podcasts, and that's fine. But I just feel like I need to lead off and do my due diligence there. And early in my DFS career, I didn't truly understand, the significance of the Masters and being the shorter field. But then again, it's more top heavy, right? I mean, we joke. I think Sam was making a joke about Larry Mize or something in Discord today. There's guys like that are in this field, right? I mean, Mike Weir. I mean, you just go down the list. VJ Singh. Most of the guys in the bottom are not going to make the cut as is. So we're going to see extremely high ownerships that are 6-6. Therefore, it's just going to be freaking harder. There's going to be more luck involved, right? It's almost like a WGC, in my opinion. Those weeks in specific, there's a little bit more luck involved. So just that's out the gate. I don't want to, poo-poo this fun party that we're about to have. But I'm trying to even talk to myself. Let's be realistic here. There's definitely a little bit more variance, I think, than we think going into this. But
I think this week is a week you need to have more conviction even than normal. Yes. You need to just play your guys, because I agree with you. It's getting a 6-6 and the safe cut makers doesn't win you anything. There's 6-6s that don't cash all the time.
Playing too many, again, you can M at me all day. There's again, we have the optimizer on the site. Shout out to DFSkarma.com. We might as well start there, right? You can get our core plays, our final thoughts, which is our cheat sheets. You can find our content there that Sam does. And then at betkarma.com, you can find all the tools and stuff, not only for golf, but all of our sports that are really growing and coming to life over there. But, at the end of the day, Sam, great point. Have more conviction. It's a great 3-max entry week, I think. I mean, again, we could say that most weeks, but if you're just making 10 lineups to make 10 lineups, I don't know. I just feel like you're deluding yourself too much, and you're probably going to lose no matter what, unless you get super lucky with one of those banking. But, hold your expectations tight. I really think it's a week to crush in the props market at Prize Picks. We'll have some of that stuff for you guys in Discord, which you can access on the site, and then the overall betting markets, which we'll get to that. You really can hit big there. Rueb, again, enough of me poo-pooing it. Listen, I love the Masters. We all love it. What are your quick thoughts on how you're attacking this? You've been a very successful DFS player for all sports. How are you thinking about this week? And then let's go back to Sam and we'll talk about the course setup itself and kind of what he's looking at analytically wise.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of your guys' points. I think the smaller field, we're going to see a ton of those 6 of 6s, and I really want to hammer home Sam's point about having people who you think can contend. I know personally, like, just to use one example, like I sent a lineup earlier to Sam with Kevin Kisner in it, and he's like, listen, Kisner has said here in the past that he doesn't think he can contend here. Like, yes, he might make the cut. Yes, he might top 40 for you, but I mean, if you don't think that someone could finish top 10 this week, they shouldn't be in your lineup. From like the peer-to-peer aspect on like our competition this week, I do think that people are getting sharper. It's not as soft as it used to be in the past. Obviously, we can say that generally about DFS, but one thing that they did do, the pricing isn't horrible this week. Normally for these majors, we get really, really soft pricing, and it kind of turns into like these prove it slates where you're like, if you're fading some of these really, really easy plays, like take Corey Connors at 6'3" last year, for example, just ultra mega chalk. Like there was nobody who was even in his stratosphere in his price range last year. I think that there's a lot of good pivots and you can get some leverage on the field this week. So Sam, do you want to give us your little bit of Masters preview, some of your hard-hitting rules that you say that we must follow here at this event? And I know rule number 1 is don't slander Tiger, but what else do you have to say about the Masters?
That is rule number 1. It's the most important rule. I will say, to that point, I'll just get past it. Even me, I will say there's a chance. I mean, here's the thing. I will probably end up playing too much of him because I always do. Like, that's a good example at 8,500. It's like, if you don't think, which I don't know. I mean, I always will defend him, but like there's a pretty high likelihood he's not going to be in that top 10 range. And so that's not like, that's exactly what we're talking about. Whereas, okay, yeah, like Tiger as a professional has never missed a cut here, which is absurd. But just because he's making the cut, if he finishes T48, that does nothing for you. Like
which still would be impressive, you know, after his journey back and his story. But I mean, there were some markets out there where you could get him at plus 145 just to make the cut. I think that's like, if you want to get invested in Tiger, if you want to get invested in Tiger, I think you do it in the betting markets this week. And not really at that 8,500 price tag. But listen, tell us about the course, and then we could dive into player-specific stuff.
Yeah, I won't do too long because I think like there's so much content there. Everyone's going to say a lot of the same stuff. I mean, my stuff that I always, over the years, have tried to drive home is, especially this year with potential weather, I think tomorrow might be a total rain out. I think driving distance, obviously I say this all the time, is important every week, and it's never really a hindrance on you. But this week especially, to get those par 5 scoring, good putting and short game. And, you know, I just think that I wouldn't necessarily cross people off or just not play them if they're, you know, as Augusta says, debutantes or first timers here. But it's really hard if I'm choosing between guys who have played here before or have not, or have missed their last 4 cuts or 3 out of the last 4. That is like definitely a huge weight. I mean, for reference, you'll see in my article. I mean, normally on a given week, I'll probably put course history between like 5, 10, maybe 15%. I have it at like 25, maybe 30, because you just have to know how to play here. I mean, going back to Tiger, he's a good example. When he's come back here injured or not played, he knows where to miss and he knows what you're supposed to do on the course. And if you haven't played it before, you just don't know that. So I just think that that's something that people know, but then they don't always take into account. You know, you take someone like, it's hard, and we'll get to these guys, but like, okay, if I'm looking at someone like Sergio, who, has missed the last couple of cuts here, but obviously has won here, has had a lot of success here, versus someone like, I think Sam Burns is probably better, but Sam Burns never played here, which is also weird. So that's just something that I, factor in the most, is just actually really taking into account the guys who had success and know how to play this course, and are not going to 4-putt these greens that are so fast.
Yeah. I think just some course notes, just some stuff that has changed about the course this year. They shortened the rough, which I think could go a little bit, could be a little bit sneaky about, some of these guys that need to be really, really accurate off the tee. You know what I mean? You're not going to get bailed out when that ball is fast off those fairways. I mean, it's going to keep on rolling, and then you have to hit out of the, the soft shit in the trees and whatnot, and you don't want to be in there in Augusta. That is one place where you see it get ugly.
It's just such a it's a course where you've seen like these people can go really low, and but it just the par fives are so important, and it's just there's so many holes you don't even realize. You just need to not make a big number. I mean, the first hole, in my opinion, is the hardest hole in the course. I mean, you've seen guys make double, or I think Tiger tripled it when he won or whatever. It's like people huge scores, and like 1-11, I think they made it even harder for some reason, which I think is funny because it was already such a hard hole, and avoid the mistakes. And then I think similar to, not that the course is similar to TPC Sawgrass in general, but I think when going to a course like, or going to a tournament like the Players or a lot of these harder tracks, it's just not a place you want to find your game. I think history can help you do decently, but it's really hard to be in bad form and come in here and then contend. It's like,
I think one thing that just one last thing about the course, like, what do you think the rain does to these greens? Do you think, and how do you think it affects some of these bad putters? Like, do you think it puts more guys into play for you? If,
in general, harder
like 2 inches of rain.
In general, harder greens and like really fast mitigates the difference a little bit because it's hard for everyone. However, I mean, I don't know, this is the most oversaid thing by most touts. I mean, Augusta does have like the highest, best in the world, like sub air systems, whatever. They can dry those greens literally so fast. So it like affects it, but like it's not like the greens, if they're running at a 13.5, they're not just gonna be running at like a 10. That they would never. They would.
I'm glad I didn't fall for that trap, Sam, because I was gonna say something, and I knew that you'd probably throw me under the bus. But yes, we all know that we're gonna hear it watching the telecast. Of course,
it's like
publicly known. So I wouldn't.
If there's one place that they're gonna have it as perfect. They're never gonna have it not how they want it. So
this was just a transition to the 10K range for me because I want to play. I want to play my guy, the bad putter, Colin Morikawa, of course. So that's my transition into this 10K range here. I mean, it's an absolutely loaded 10K range. We see 7 guys up here, which I'm actually pretty shocked that they made the pricing very competitive up here at the top. I think these guys are in a tier of their own when we're talking about them. And new world number 1, Scotty Scheffler, all the way at the top at 11K. Sam, AC,
can we start there?
Yeah, go ahead.
I want your opinion on it because I think you're going to have the same sentiment as me, although we both know what the counterpoint is. I mean, I don't think I'm going to play Scotty, and it's just not. I mean, it just at 11K, and he's won 3 times, which is insane. He deserves to be number 1 right now, but to have him do that again, I mean, at 11,000, and I think again he'll probably be low on because of it. I just don't think I can get there. If he wins for a 4th time, then I'll lose, but I'm okay with that.
No, I agree. I'm not playing him. I mean, he's just priced at this point. 11K. I was shocked. I thought honestly DraftKings was going to do their normal trolling BS, and he was going to be like 8,900 or something.
Exactly.
Right.
He was the 1,000% owned. Yeah, I completely agree.
I was so happy to see him priced up there. I mean, the complete smart game theory chess piece play is play Scotty Scheffler because probably no one else is. I don't want to say no one he's going to be owned, but I don't think many people at all are going to play him, and he's not a bad play. But, frankly, and again, Rueb, I don't know if you're starting with Morikawa. I don't know if that's you kind of led with him in a way. I got to admit, man, like this range, like, I'll start with JT. I know Sam is all in on JT. I know I am. I don't know where you're at in him, Rueb, as far as, if you're building one lineup, like let's try to stick with that for a second because we can't just play all the guys. I mean, I know we all want to, but, I made a big bet on JT. So did Sam. I'm just sticking with it. I mean, we've been talking about him for weeks. The putter is starting to come around a little bit. Like I just think it's JT's time. You can make a case really for any guy up top. I don't like Morikawa. I'll let you talk about him in a second. I like him. I just don't like the setup for him this week. I think you can always play Rahm. And I will say, I think the guy that is, I don't want to say sneaky. I mean, I'm assuming everybody's going to be owned.
Just
so it's kind of like,
just say it.
I think DJ is actually the play up here. If you wanted to sprinkle in a little bit of variance, leverage, I feels like Rahm, JT are going to get the ownership. And I just think I keep looking that DJ might actually get lost in the sauce a little bit. Again, they're all going to be owned. So it's a moot point, right? So that's where I'm at. I mean, it's JT or it's nobody. I either want a balanced build starting at the 9Ks or I'm going JT. That's how I'm looking up top this week for my main lineup.
Yeah, I agree. Just looking from one lineup, I think I'm going to end up playing JT as well. I mean, like you guys said, I mean, and his form's just been fantastic. Like, I do think it's his time here, and I agree with you guys. I think Rahm and JT soak up a ton of ownership here, and then everyone else gets squeezed. I mean, I was trolling a little bit with the Colin Morikawa stuff. I just keep playing this guy, and I want to rip my hair out watching him on the greens. But man, when he drops it to 7 feet and then 2 putts, there's just nothing more frustrating. And I think his time will come, but I don't know if it's this week.
I mean, AC, my thing is it's different if I'm Rueb talking about if I'm doing one lineup, I wouldn't but it's tough to play JT and Morikawa together, obviously. But just in general, if you're playing more than one lineup, to me, it's a little silly to me in game theory wise. You should also like Morikawa, I think, in theory, because they're kind of the exact same player,
Yeah,
like that's my only thing about them.
Yeah, if you're making like a 3-max entry or something like that, totally agree. Like, I mean, dude, honestly, and if we've been doing these golf podcasts, I joke for like 3 years now, Sam and I, we've been on this.
Yeah,
we've been on this for a while with us. Like Morikawa, let's stick with him, right? Because he is going to be the guy that like people aren't going to play. I don't really have.
I think Hovland as well. I don't think people play Hovland either.
Him as well. But Morikawa is so damn good that like he does. If you go back in time, he will just randomly putt well and win a tournament. And he actually has terrible putting weeks, the weeks leading up to it. I mean, I've won a lot of money with him. I'm kind of loyal to him. And again, I'm not going to reveal all my bets on this podcast. I don't think you guys should either. You can go to the website and hop in our Discord and check that. But I did make a fairly large bet on Victor Hovland 3 months ago, strictly because I wanted to remind myself how good he is. And I knew going up into the Masters, I didn't think it played out like this. I know that everybody in all these podcasts is going to be, and again, I will say it too, but his short game, quote unquote, he can't chip. I get it. I get it.
It's so bad. It's so
I
bad.
do think Victor Hovland I think he's the best player in the field. Yes, minus that. And I do think he can win. I know he's probably not because it's around the green game, but I have a very large bet on him. I'm very bullish on him. And if I'm making 3 lineups this week, it's going to be Hovland for sure and one of those other ones that doesn't have JT. I really like him this week.
I think his ownership gets squeezed for sure. Absolutely. Especially with Rory around him as well. People like to play Rory way more than
here's my thing, though. You're going into that. I was thinking last week, God, Rory did exactly what I want him to do. I want him to look terrible, and he doesn't look that great, but I'm going to play him because he's not going to be 20% owned, which is like the first time in a while. I don't know. I mean, his track record, he hasn't won. Yes, we can go on and on, whatever. But I mean, I have him right now on the portal I have up. I mean, it's early, but I have him at like 10, 11%. I mean, if we're gonna what are we doing? I love Cam Smith. I will play Cam Smith, but if he's gonna be 22% owned and Rory's 10, what are we doing?
So let's go to the next tier then, since you just went down there. So Cam Smith, let's stop at 9,000, guys. I'll go right back to you. Yeah. Listen, I'm gonna be short on this. I'm not playing Cam Smith. I can't even believe that he's going to be this fault. But I actually love it. I love it. I love it. Like this.
That's your loss.
He's an easy fade. This is like one of the most.
There's someone I feel like I've been right about for a long time. People just do not ever want to play Cam Smith.
You have been. I will give you that.
No, and I'm not saying. I'm not saying he's going to win. And also now, like the hype, the DFS ownership, the betting odds are now reached absolutely
9,900.
I mean, he's 99. It's really tough to. Yeah.
I'm not playing. Okay,
I mean, okay. Is he playing in cash?
I would not even dare to think about touching Cam Smith in cash. He gained 11.5 strokes with his putter at the Players. Cool, great. He actually was terrible off the tee. He was pretty wayward with his drives. I mean, he's a baller. I'll admit it. I mean, he won at the Century. I don't know, man. Cam Smith's a very volatile player. I'm in love with the fact that this DFS community.
I think his ownership's insane as well. I
can't believe it is. I love it. I mean, this is not good chalk. I'm sorry. Like, there's been good chalk guys that I want to play and eat it. This is an easy fade. This is like my first major point of the podcast. Like, I'm just not touching Cam Smith. If it comes back and burns me, then whatever, dude. I lose, and I probably was going to lose anyways. So there we go.
No, I agree. At that ownership, it's hard to argue. I just can't wait for us all to be tilting, me included, when it's like, because when he has these weeks, it's like every putt inside 8 feet, you're like, that's the one.
Yeah, I know, but putting is so. J-Rib, are you feeling the same way?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it all the time how volatile putting is, and especially after the Players win. I can't play especially if he's over 20%. I think maybe that's a little bullish here early in the week of him being over 20%. Like, I think maybe it ends in like the 15-ish range, but even then, like, I'm just not interested. And he's too close to the upper tier. Like, I'll find the money to get to Rom and to JT, you know? Like, I would rather play two of those guys in the 10K range, or rather than, you know, play like start my lineup with Cam Smith. Like, just no way. There's which I think is going to be popular. I think people are going to go with that balanced build.
How many lineups do you think start out JT, Cam Smith, Corey Connors?
Yeah, a lot.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a
I mean,
great
that's
point.
like I'm sorry if you want to be different, just please don't do that. Like, just don't.
Right.
That's ridiculous.
I agree.
Like, it's
that's a great point. Like, you're starting. I mean, obviously JT, I quote unquote chalk, but again, I do think that all the guys at 10K they're all going to get ownership. JT's definitely probably going to be the highest owned. So let's go to a couple other guys, right? Like, Brooks is actually going to be popular this year. I feel like the last few years he's not. Listen, I like Brooks.
Fade.
On the head. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to fade this guy at majors at this point in time. I mean, he's actually playing somewhat okay too. I mean,
I'm so concerned. I'm so concerned because he's playing well, and also this might be the first Masters in like a couple of years he's actually healthy. All this hope that he fails. I mean, I'm gonna go back to Cantlay, who seems to hate me. All I do is talk about how good Cantlay is, even though I can't stand how slow he is and it burns me. But we skipped over, and we'll stop naming every guy. But I'm back on the fade Xander train. I can already tell this is turning into like a Xander's going like, it's so 50% owned, 23%. It's gonna be just
not. We will. I do think it's important to talk about a lot of guys, and I want to hear Rueb on this. So again, real quick, I do like Brooks. I'm like debating if my main lineup's going to have him. He's the one guy I'm debating. I'm going to kind of monitor ownership later in the week. I do like Cantlay. The only thing is, man, like, I'm not going to go there if you just, again, it's not all data driven, but he's just not been good for like not 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but like multiple weeks. Like, I feel like something is wrong with his iron game. And you know what? Last year, I did get suckered into the 4.44 last year, and I'll never forget. Cantlay was like +7 or something after like 5 holes. I was mentally burned by that. I'm not going back to Cantlay. If he burns me this year, so be it. For the record, I do like Xander. I'm probably not going to play him in my lineup. I did bet him. I liked him at 22-1. I was actually surprised because the way all these guys are with their odds, I thought he'd fall in the 16, 18-1 with a lot of the other guys. Hey, I saw a little value there. And then, Rueb, I am going to go to you. I'm going to leave with this, and then you can kind of finish up. I'm playing Jordan Spieth this week. I don't think he's going to be as popular as we think. I know people talk about him, but I don't think people truly – if you – again, sorry, I'm going to throw myself another bone here. I did write a nice little note, a little love note about Jordan Spieth in Final Thoughts last week. I actually put him in green. And I said that he has not been playing well, quote unquote, with his finishes, but his game's coming around more than we think. Like, I put in there something about his missing the strokes.
Dude,
game
tell how it
putting.
is. It's the putting. Terrible. His putting is horrendous. No, dude, if he putted well, do you see how many he lost last week? I think he lost over 6.
It's like comically bad. Like, it's an understatement to say.
Irrelevant. That's irrelevant. He is actually driving well for multiple weeks. He's actually he's finding it. Like, this is a different speed than the last few years. I didn't want to play him the last couple of years, but I think I'm going to play Spieth. Like, I'm having a hard time not playing him, and I'm liking that. I don't think I thought he's going to be mega chalk. I did.
Yeah, early ownership doesn't have him as chalky as I thought he was going to be. I have heard him talked about on a few industry stuff that I've already listened to. So I do think that the ownership comes up a little bit, but I
agree.
I mean, I personally, like, I don't think I'm going to play anyone in this 9K range. Just, you know, me as a one lineup guy. Like, I think I'd just rather take my shots on the big hitters there at the top, like starting a lineup with like DJ or JT or Rom and JT or JT and Colin. You know, like, I think I'm going to do that approach personally. But so the 9K range is a little bit of a fade for me. I do think that there's 2 interesting game theory guys that I just want your guys' opinion on, and then we can move on. Like, what do you do with Hideki and Bryson at this point, dealing with the injuries? I mean, Bryson legit said that he needs hand surgery, that he has this like broken bone in his left hand. Like, dude
said he's like 80%.
Yeah, he lost strokes driving. Like, I don't.
Easy. I was gonna say, no. I think if he doesn't withdraw, I think if you're playing 20 plus, I wouldn't do it beside that. I think Hideki is so worth.
That's actually a really good call.
He's gonna
Sam.
be.
Yeah.
He's gonna be
Good
sub
call
5%. He's gonna be sub 5. Are you kidding?
Hideki burns so many people, including me at the Players, where
Totally.
I had decent volume, and I
Me
told
too.
Sam in the text, like, I know this doesn't
Force
even
me.
sound like it's real, but I don't. When I lose, I just expect. I feel like I expect to lose when I like make a GPP. Cash game's a little bit different. Like I do, I expect to win actually, ironically. But GPPs, even if it's single entry, I actually expect to lose just based on the freaking math, right? Like you're gonna lose more often than not. I was actually pretty tilted with the Hideki thing, only because it happened like 60 seconds after lock. I mean, I was pissed off. So he's not going to be owned at all. If he plays, I do think he's a really good game theory play, no doubt about it. I mean,
I really think, given it's like Augusta, I can see there being a thing where if they like know he's not right, him withdrawing before. I just don't think they want him to withdraw mid. I don't know. I think he's either going to play, or I mean, I guess he could tweak it or whatever. But
Yeah.
I mean, I also, not to mention they'll be unknown because everyone's going to go back to Will Zalatoris, which I'll continue to fade. Dude, he gained last
I'm
year.
not going to be on Zalatoris. I think the
that
course,
guy,
course history people are going to be on Zalatoris for sure.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
of how
I'll give
well he
him.
played last year.
I heard this on a podcast the other day, and I forgot. I mean, anyone who follows that Cut Sweats on Twitter, Nelson Adcock, who's a super sharp guy, and he has that site. He did like the manual like strokes gained for the tournament last year because the Augusta doesn't release them. I think Zalatoris last year gained over 9 strokes putting when he finished second.
What?
That's just insane.
I mean, like, okay,
He is
like
fucking so good though. His driver and his, I mean,
but that was his one time. Listen, when is he ever gaining 9 strokes putting again? Like that was his one Masters time. Like he had to win last year. It's like one of those things. Like he had to win last year, or else it just it might not happen for him. Like,
hey, I don't want to keep harping on speed, but Jay, see the way that you're thinking, and again, you play heavy volume. Like I know you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I did think about that lineup build, like you're inferring, like kind of like going 2 top heavy. But man, like I worry a little bit, and I'm not trying to talk you off of it, only because I feel like more people are going to do that than you think, because there are a lot of really good plays, quote unquote, on paper in the low 7K range. But I think a lot of those owners, I mean, I just feel like those lineups are going to be so heavily, not duped, but very like owned to an extent. And that's why I like a guy like Spieth, who's like just under that 10K range and kind of like wedged between the Brooks and the Cantlay and the Xander. I don't know, Cam. I just feel like
I
Spieth,
agree with that.
I don't know. It's just,
I mean, I think that's how you can gain a lot of leverage is finding these plays that you really like in weird ownership pockets where, you know what I mean, where that the ownership's going to get squeezed. You really like the play, but there's stuff around it that just the context of it. I think people are going to jam this 9K range. Like you see all these names, like fitting 3 of them is very appealing. It'll be interesting to see how ownership shakes out. But I've heard a ton of hype on this 9K range, and
here's what I'm
kind of
Daniel Berger at 9K.
I mean,
you can tell me it's a bad play, and it could be, but you have to tell me why. There's not like a definitive reason why.
I feel like he's a better Fitzpatrick, right? And I feel like you can get Daniel Berger at 7,700. Not that we're going to the 7K range right now. I just feel like that's who I'm getting, and I like them both. But why not just like maybe reserve the salary? That's how I was thinking about the Berger play.
Because I like one's a winner, one is Matt Fitzpatrick.
Matt Fitzpatrick. I mean, we'll get to him. I think he's just. I can never figure that.
By the way, it's kind of funny. People kind of assume, I did too, that his course history at the Masters is really good. It's actually not, which is kind of weird. I just looked at it today. It's like not very impressive. Anyway. I'm
a little bit surprised. I think a lot of this 9K range in the past of, DraftKings running their pricing algorithm would have been in this 8K range. Like we would have seen Zalatoris at like 8.5 back in the day. Like Brooks at 8.9. Like just take 500 off of all of these guys. Now I think what they've done is they've kept these 7K guys down here, and the 8K range to me feels like very light. Like I don't see myself getting on like a lot of these guys in the 8K range. And to your point, AC, that might lead to that construction that you're talking about, where you get those 2 high-end guys and then a bunch of the 7K range, which I think we're burying the lead, but is very loaded.
I mean, look, I think I have not know the last time I saw it. This 8K range is only 10. I don't know.
People want to play these guys. These guys are not like. Let me just rattle them off. Louis, not sexy, even though he comes in second every major, and he's probably going to do it again. Lowry,
take this
sexy.
Range. I was about to.
I mean, nobody wants to play these guys. It's just, I mean, hey, I
right,
like
but isn't like, don't we have a bit of a Okay, so hold on. So, I think it's interesting. I almost never play him. I'm not saying I will this week either. it is interesting. I feel like every major, and especially Augusta, everyone is all over Louis. I know it's only Monday. I have not heard anything about
No
Louis.
one's
I haven't heard his
Louis.
name said once.
No one's
I
playing
haven't heard his
Louis.
name said once.
No, and
Except
it's like I'm
you bet him. I did bet him.
I don't. It's just it's a weird. Like it makes me like this is like okay. We know like we saw what Louis did all last year, but now it's like what's really changed?
I feel like he's not playing well at all. And sure,
Because he's not. It's because he's not making every putt he sees. Like I am worried. He's in my write up that I started today. Is I do really like Shane Lowry. I bet Shane.
Yeah,
Lowry.
I like Shane Lowry as well. Yeah, he's my favorite guy in this range. So I'm glad you said that. I was just about to say, like, if there was one guy in this range, I think I would be playing Shane Lowry at 8-8 if I was going for a more balanced build.
Incredible this year. I mean, he
Yeah,
should have
he's
won the Honda.
so good.
I was so pissed off sitting in the
yeah,
lane
that
my
was
wife,
just
my child was born, and I was sitting there just screaming at the TV and as the nurses.
Yeah, that was like a
why I'm freaking out.
That's great.
That was like a 5K rainstorm for me. That was awesome.
It was ridiculous.
Because I don't think I'll probably get there. I love Taylor Gooch in general. This is a terrible misprice. He should not be 8,700. I don't know why he is. So,
Yeah,
but to that effect, he will be unowned. So I'm just saying, if you were again similar to Hideki, if I'm playing 20, I would probably play a couple.
Does Sam Burns miss any putts anymore, or
yeah?
When I play him, he misses a lot.
He's been on fire.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not playing.
You know, he's got the length too. He's an interesting guy here in this range. I do think he's going to get ownership because people aren't stupid. You know, he's got a lot of upside, and you know, there's just not other guys. I mean, yeah, Adam Scott's a classic play here. Adam Scott could show up, man. I mean, I have been debating him.
What do you mean could? He is. I think he'll be owned. Unfortunately, I realize we all like Neiman. He's going to be owned. Unfortunately, hold on. We're skipping. What are we doing? We're skipping over like.
No, we're not talking about Tiger.
I was going to ask the question, Sam. You're playing 150 lineups. How much Tiger do you have?
What's the max amount I can have? Okay, I don't even. Okay,
the responsible amount would be like if you liked him as a play would be like 10% max.
See, DraftKings fucked up. He should be in the 7K range. That's the problem.
He should 100% be in the 7K range.
If he was in the mid 7K range, I would consider playing him. But I'm just 8,500. He's not gonna, even if he's not going to be. Of course, my phone.
There it is.
The last 5 times he's played, he has a first, a 17th, and a 4th. So like all this talk about him having not really like what. But these people you guys make these mistakes every time. I think
fading Tiger. It's always a mistake to fade Tiger. Is that what it is, Sam?
No, it's not always, but it's a mistake. I think it's people act like ever since it's like all the stuff and he doesn't play a regular schedule anymore. There's been times where I think he's had so many top finishes. I think that more often than you realize. I mean, I'm not advocating he's an amazing play, but what I'm saying is, if he showed up and finished T20, you're going to be like really shocked. I would not.
Yeah, I would be shocked if he finished T20 personally.
But why? You know, it's like because he showed up in. I'm just saying, given the history.
Listen, a week ago we were worried about him walking the course, and now he's going to go out and play in one of the tougher fields of the year. And T20, I don't know. There's too many young, talented golfers nowadays. I get it. I get he's Tiger Woods. Like, I get the 2019 stuff, but I just think people are going to play it.
24 cuts here.
What do you think? What do you think his ownership is in the $20?
Because it's Tiger, I bet you'll get to like.
15?
I think honestly,
is that insane?
Maybe 7.
No,
just because he hasn't played. He hasn't played in over. He hasn't played in.
Yeah, I would like a side bet on double digit ownership. I would like a side bet on double digit ownership.
Okay,
for sure.
we'll get this bet going later in the week.
We'll get that because
the only thing that'll change that though. No, the problem is it'll change. That will change if he has his press conference tomorrow and he talks about how he's ready to go. Then it'll be over 10.
I mean, dude, the Masters is tweeting out. They're tweeting out hype videos. Like
as they should.
Come on, I know as they should. Listen, I'm excited to watch him play as well. Don't get me wrong, but just from my money aspect, like I'll be very happy if Tiger Woods comes in 10% owned in my contests.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, before we move to the next range, Tony Finau, can we just? I mean, that's my guy. God,
no,
is he going to be?
Finau. Finau's actually like the third best play in this range, in my opinion,
You think so?
behind Neiman. And no, I never play AC. I've not played in a very long time. I think he's setting up well. He's playing well. Tyrrell Hatton at 8,000. Okay. So if you can give me an actual reason why you said then I'll hear it.
Maybe because I never play him. I'm not arguing. He has been in form. I did when pricing came
Top
out.
20 in approach, third in par 5, seventh birdie or better, third in putting on bent grass, fast greens. The only problem is, well, first of all, he's Tyrrell Hatton, but I mean, his course history is not good. He did finish top 20 last year. At least he's played it a lot. I don't know. I think that he has like, I don't know. I like him. And he's the guy where like it's Sunday and he just shoots like a useless 64 when he's out of it to come like T17. Like that's what we need.
I like the game theory play because again, now we'll get to the 7K range, like the Connors, the Fitzpatricks, the Henleys. Those guys are all going to be so high owned. And like I did think about it. I was like, there's Hatton and there's Finau, and they might be a lot lower owned compared to the mega chalk that's all below them. So yeah.
If we're moving down, I'll say it right now.
I think we have to start. We have to start with Connors and Fitz because they're going to be the mega chalk, obviously.
And
I think that
Henley. Henley's going to be very
so
popular.
I saw the early Henley ownership. I think it's a little bit too high. I don't think he comes in that high compared to I think people play Fitz and Connor way more than they play Henley. You know,
possible, but the problem is that Henley is just one of those guys where it's trying to think of who, like, I mean, honestly, a lot like how like a Luke List has been or Sam Burns past. He just is such a stat model stud that like any model you run, he's going to look good. But then you forget that like it's Russell Henley. So I think he'll be popular. I think that's why I'm definitely playing Sergio because I'm not going to be mad if he shoots 10 over. Like I expect that, but like I know that he actually is such a ball striking machine, which we need to be here. And
he's looked pretty good. He's looked in form. But Sam, what are you doing with Fitz and Connors? Like, are you playing Connors? I know I'm already prepared in my small field stuff. Like, I know Corey Connors is going to be 40% owned. Like, I need to make a decision on what to do with 40% owned Corey Connors. You know what I mean? And it was the same conversation last year, and he went out and T8? I know he was top 10, and just you needed him or you lost. You know, and I feel like we're in a similar predicament this year.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with him, and I'm hoping maybe just the ownership as like it kind of matures, it kind of goes. Maybe people get on to like everyone always ends up playing Paul Casey, but Connors. I mean, it's kind of like we talked about. I don't see how it's really that much different. I get the price is different, but with like Cam Smith, I mean, if he's going to be if 20+% owned, I'll take the chance that he remembers he's Corey Connors and misses every putt. And this because it's like I know like in your situation, I would play Connors all day. It's like what
you think so? Like even in a 100-man field, like say he's 35%. Like I think it's a big decision point. Like,
well, for me, like as you know, like I'm always just okay. I take more risk in losing, and so like if I can take that, I'm like okay. I know that most of the field is out, but you know, given that the 6 of sticks and stuff is so high anyway, or whatever, you know, if I was in like, you know, like in cash, I would just play him. Like he'll be 50% owned, and that is what it is. But I think in tournaments, I say this in my articles all the time. It's like it's always, I think, worth fading anyone at, you know, that kind of ownership. I mean, Fitz moving to him is a little less. I mean, again, I normally don't play Fitz. I'm not a huge fan of his normally. This price is too cheap. But he's another one who just pops in the stats. But like
his par 5 scoring is so good that I think that's what carries him in the models. You know, is
that, and he doesn't make any mistake. Like he never makes big numbers.
Yeah, it's so that par 5 scoring is so important this week, and to get someone at his price that rates like top 5 in the field in par 5 scoring, like you kind of have to just close your eyes and play it. You know.
Can we talk about?
I think that. Yeah, go ahead.
Can we talk about what is the dealio with Paul Casey? Is he really going to be low owned for? I don't want to call the players a major, but okay, it's a major for the second major in a row. Like we all got tricked.
Yeah, he got squeezed at the players. I was shocked. I mean, I don't know if you listened to the show, AC. You weren't on the players one, right?
No,
or was that?
So
I talked about.
We banned him from that one. Yeah.
We recorded early. We recorded like early Monday morning, and I was like, "Oh, Paul Casey is like going to be the mega chalk this week. Like, oh, everyone's playing him." Then the dude comes in like sub 10% in T4s. like out of nowhere. So if I think he might get squeezed again, and
What's
we
his
might
injury?
have to.
Did
We
he get
might.
hurt or something?
So what happened was I was reading about it. Basically, what happened was he, on the first day of that match play, or whatever. I guess when he snap hooked over 2 balls out of bounds, something, and just completely just tweaked his back, like happens to a lot of people, and then basically tried to see if it was gonna got treatment on it, but then just didn't really work out.
Damn.
So it appears to me it's not like a long-term super insane injury like Bryson's had
I'm
or
considering
something.
him fine going into this week. That's the way
I am
I'm
too.
looking at it.
I just don't really see I have him right now 11 to 12. I actually think that's probably about right, and I'm fine. It just, you never play a Paul. If we all know, if Paul Casey had been 20% of the players, then that would have been a missed cut because he would have known. But when
Yeah.
he knows he's not shot, he plays well.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a back. I mean, obviously, I'll wait to see any news updates. Like
The more interesting one is what the hell happened. So Answer last week was fine, and then not when he withdrew.
I would not touch Answer here with a 9-foot pole.
Yeah, he's coming in at low ownership as well, but I'm kind of.
I don't know. No, but if is he injured? Did he just not want to? Was he just hung over and didn't want to? I have no idea, obviously, but
I think it was more of just he didn't feel right, and then just was like, okay, I'm just gonna get ready for the Masters. Even I don't know.
Someone. I think in this range, someone I think is becoming bat. What?
I want to hear it. Go ahead. I want to hear.
Go ahead.
I want to hear Sam's pick.
I think Mark Leishman is horrendous, Chuck.
Before we go to this lower tier, I do think the lower tier is super important. Can we just talk about a guy named Tommy Pickles for a second? Because this guy, Tommy Fleetwood, is in between on DK pricing Matt Fitzpatrick and Corey Connors.
Oh, and he's Tommy not going to get
first round leader bet.
Tommy Fleetwood is finding a little form. I mean, he's got good history.
He doesn't find form.
No, I know you hate him, Sam, but
he's just overrated. He's just overrated.
Listen, if I'm playing a JT, I just keep going back to that. I already know it's going to be mega chalk. If Spieth gets run up, whatever, I got to find something, right? I got to find something, and I don't want to play if it's Patrick and a Connors combination. I just think it's
you probably will. You probably will
upside. I probably will, but I'm trying to talk myself into a Fleetwood or a Casey. I mean, I really do. I have to consider one of these guys. I do like Fleetwood though. Casey's injury. I mean, I guess I'm gonna have to look for some news, but that concerns me a bit. So go ahead, talk about Leishman because he'll be mega chalk too at 7,300.
No, and he has this good history, and I don't think his form is very good. And I mean, he just his ball striking has not really been good. It's just his short game, and I just don't really. I don't really think, but I can see him. I've seen him getting buzz. It's because he is. It's for his name. He's pretty cheap, right?
But Bubba's right there. I'd rather take Bubba, who's in terrible form and has the upside.
Yeah, I would too. If I was taking someone like that, I would too. I mean, I'm surprised. Now that you mention, I get how Billy Horschel's been playing, but there's zero. He actually is legitimately has been a stud on Bermuda, but he is not playing well at the Masters.
This is the J-Rube zone. I need to hear him talk about this entire area because
I was just about to say this decides the weekend in my opinion. I think that this 75.
Why are we playing Siwoo Kim? That's the only guy you need.
I think this 75 to 68 range. I think it's what decides. Who makes money and who doesn't this week, So everyone can talk about these high-end plays. They're going to be up there and contending and deciphering between them is difficult, but this 7K range is where you're going to make your money or not. And I think it's loaded. You started off with Leishman. I don't even think he's a top 5 play for me in this range. It's so loaded. Give me Homa and give me McIntyre over Leishman this week.
Dude, Homa is just that's so much more buzz because people just like him in his Twitter.
But his ball striking is so good here too, man.
I know, but he what? The one thing I'll say about Homa, I just don't. First of all, he's played pretty well in the past with 2 missed cuts, but I just don't know if. I guess it's Homa can get really.
Sam's breaking up, isn't he?
Yeah, Sam broke up.
So, J-Rube, the problem, again, it's not the problem.
I'm just
curious to hear more. Sam, you keep breaking up, but I'm struggling with this range because, like you, J-Rube, I want to play Max Homa. I do think he's actually the best player at a lower tier. I do think Gary Woodland's one of the better plays at a lower tier. But again, all these guys, and again, that's why I question. I'm not questioning you. I'm just thinking out loud because I wanted to start with that
But
same.
they're not getting steamed. Like there's no 20% guy down here, like
But
Connors.
Connors and I mean, Siwoo Kim, Luke, like not even Luke Lewis, but Max Homa. These guys are gonna be 15% owned, dude. Minimum.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that they might come in lower. I think they might come in lower than you think. Like, I really think people might live in this middle range. Like, they're already going to play Fitz and Connors, people, like, so I really want to take some stabs on like 2 or 3 guys here in the 7K range. Like, I didn't even mention, like, arguably my favorite play, Cameron Young. Like, I get Sam's point about him. This is, his first time here, but I mean, a guy this talented, I mean, he's long off the tee, great par 5 scoring. Like, I could just see him getting hot here, kind of like Zalatoris did last year. You know what I mean? Like where he can just like absolutely like pull a top 10 out of his ass here.
At the end of the day, we're splitting hairs. I mean, all these guys, anybody Woodland and above is generally going to be 7 to 10% minimum owned, even the really low owned guys, because there's only so many guys in this field. I mean, anybody below Woodland, I feel like is just nobody's touching. I mean, it's kind of crazy, to be honest. Like, I feel like, at least in the past at these Masters events, there's been some guys that people are wanting below. I mean, I don't know, maybe play Thomas Peters, but I'm not going there. I mean, who else is anybody playing below Gary Woodland? I mean, Brian Harman? Maybe?
No, yeah, I don't think that there's a ton of great plays in the 6K range, which is what, you're probably right that low 7s is going to get squeezed. Like, I'm kind of done with Seabez. I've been burned on him too many times. Like, I can't play him. Like, he's just not long enough off the tees for this par 5 scoring. I've played him twice this year, and the dude is supposed to be a freaking good putter. This is why I just always go back to playing the bad putters, is because when I play the good putters, they can't freaking putt either. And it just tilts my face off watching Seabez miss 5-footers. But I want to plant my flag on McIntyre in this range. Like, let me play Bob. I mean, top 12 in his debut last year. I mean, he's in pretty good form, and at the majors 2021 US Open, he finished T8. Like, I don't know. Give me him in this range.
I can't go there. I mean, I will have disagreement with you there. There's just no way I'd play him. I mean, I do like that he's a lefty for the course setup.
Yeah, exactly. The lefty as well.
I'd rather play, I guess, Brian Harman. But yeah, let me give you guys a play. It's disgusting.
You guys talk about McIntyre. I think also I can't really hear Rueb's.
Yes.
Yeah, I was talking about McIntyre. Would you have an opinion on him, Sam?
Sam, I mean, honestly, how do you not have internet at this point in your life? It's just
it's not that. Jeez Louise.
Here's a guy. We're getting to the end of the range. I want to play this guy so bad, and I know I'm going to get scared off. I played him so much this year. I played him last week. I wrote him up in orange in Final Thoughts. Dude, Luke List is going to freaking pop. I'm telling you, and nobody.
Yeah, he's my first look
going to be single-digit owned. You want a low-owned guy in this range? Luke List can top 10 here. I mean, isn't he from the freaking area as is? I mean, Luke List has played amazing all year, and yeah, he's a terrible putter. I mean, to your point, like, let's play the bad.
I'd rather play Cam Young.
I just talked up Cam Young. Yeah.
Yeah. He does like
Gary.
Do you think there's something about the first time narrative that would get you off of Cam Young, like in this range?
That stuff at all. The first time narrative stuff. I mean, I don't. That's not in my logic. I know it's a thing.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it either. To be honest with you,
that's not for me. I can't quantify every single analytic thing out there, and that's something I throw out the window. Like, look at. I just want
to play good young guys. Like, Sam knows I have an age bias. Like, I just want to play good young talented golfers. That, like, if you told me Cam Young was 8.5, 9K here next year after a T10, like, yeah, obviously, and he went on to win 2 more times. Like, I don't know, he's that talented. Like, I think Cam Young, just from watching him this year, he's got that type of upside that I want to invest in a young golfer.
Yeah, you said it perfect. Investing in the upside. And that's honestly, I know it sounds disgusting with Luke List, but again, most of these guys, knock, are going to make the freaking 6 of 6. Most of
hopefully.
And if Luke List makes the cut, it doesn't matter if he comes in 35th place or 40th place or 27th. He's going to score DraftKings points. Like, sometimes we
very good DraftKings score. I agree with that.
We need to simplify things when we think about, especially tournaments like this. Like, whenever there's a WJC, All I care about is building a lineup with high upside scoring. If a guy somehow has a bad week, whatever. But I mean, that's why I like a Luke List. I mean, even I don't know about Seawood, man. I mean, he's getting talked up. I just know it. And I don't know. There's a lot of guys below here. I mean, Sam, do you want to talk about anyone else? I mean, below this? I mean, Gary
This
Woodland.
is the Sam range, the sub 7K. Sam, you got any special ones for us down here?
Well, I know you guys need me when I have to learn about this guy. It is we can go back to Brian Harmon. He's playable here.
I do like.
He's actually not playing. He's not. Well, he's just not playing that bad. You mentioned EVR.
No EVR.
Mistake for you. The only guy I play. I mean, I'm not any of these 6K guys really. The only guy I'd possibly play is I actually heard. I forget which pod I heard, but it's so true. Like Mackenzie Hughes is 6,300. He's just a worse Jordan Speed. He either makes all of his putts or he doesn't. So you might.
Yeah. He's another guy who just fits this scoring on DraftKings really well,
Yeah,
for a cheap guy.
He puts in. He like puts in. He like makes it from the tee. Like it's ridiculous. He makes every putt. So,
you know how you win. You know how you win $1 million this week, like even in the $100 Millie Maker. It's a Harold Varner in the lineup, right? Like I mean, if he has a good week, he's from the south.
That's not.
Harold Varner's going to be 2% owned, right? I'm just saying, like you need something. I mean, Harold Varner does have upside and he has extreme scoring ability, especially in terms of DraftKings. I mean, I did think about it. He's playing really well this year, dude. I mean, come on. He came in 6th at the Players. He's got a win under his belt. He's got several top 20s since August last year.
Sorry, when I cut out, did you guys talk about Kisner or no?
No, I kind of touched on him early. I mean, you talked me off of him already. So, listen, I love to play the guy who grew up 30 minutes from Augusta and who respects my money. After hitting him, after winning some money on him at the match play, which was a lot of fun. But I don't know. I kind of wanted to go to him here. You're the one who talked me off him. So why don't we love Kisner? And like, we know how diabolical these greens are. And I mean, he's one of the best putters on tour. And the dude has massive balls.
I just think it just because it ends there. It's kind of like, he is an elite putter, but it's like, the driving distance isn't there. I know not everyone has that, but then it's like his tee to green and the ball striking is never really that good. It's like you kind of have to he kind of has to make every single putt to kind of have I don't know. I just again I don't think he's ever. I think his best finish here ever was like T21, and everything else was either like a miscut or like a 40th. Like that's just not getting it done.
Sam, did you know that Guido was in the field? Garrett Higo's in the field. I didn't even know a couple of these guys were down here. I'm not playing them, but I don't know. There's.
Whoa. Stuart Stanks, 6,400. Okay, now we're talking. Now we're
good old Stewie. Didn't people played him at the Players, right? Didn't he?
Stuart Stank, who is 11th in this field in driving distance. I will never not talk about how far he hits it at his age because people don't even care.
Yeah, people played him at the Players and got burned though, so they're definitely not playing him here.
Wow, he came in 7th at the Valspar. Had a good week too. Yeah, that's interesting. All right. Anything else? Are we winding up this podcast with some kind of bet here?
Yeah, I mean, we got to talk about our favorite plays. We got to talk about the winners. I want to. This is what I'm going to throw out. Listen, all three of us love JT, obviously, and we've talked about it. Let's go over our favorite bet. Outside of JT, do you have another guy that you guys have invested in? Not your ones from 3 months ago. One that you would make today, AC.
So let me give two. Man, I mentioned Hovland. Dude, I'm sticking with Spieth. I mean, 22-1. I feel like that's a very favorable number in this market, considering how he's playing and considering how bad the putter is. And then also, this is more of a dart. I mean, the guys with long ends definitely are not hitting at the Masters. But I like Neiman. I mean, I got him at 40-1.
This guy takes 3 bets and steals mine.
All right. All right. I like
That's
Neiman.
fantastic.
Go ahead, Sam.
So I went too, but I guess I'll put out. I like. I thought it was gonna be way worse, but he hasn't played as well. I really like Berger. I got him at 40-1. I also literally had 2 screens up and had FanDuel up, which has him at 55, and I for some reason bet it on DK still. But I think Berger's a good bet, 40+.
I like that. I'm gonna go with 2 guys that I know that Sam's gonna hate one of them because the thought of Twitter exploding when they slip that green jacket onto Max Homa at 80-1 just would send Sam into a tizzy, an absolute tizzy. So we're gonna have
80 to 1?
I'm 80 to 1 on Mr. Max Homa, and then I can't talk up how young and talented Cam Young is without getting him out there at 130 to 1. So those are my two long shot bets for this week to go along with JT. That's probably like as deep as my card goes, is like I'll be on those three, and we'll see how it goes. So I'm excited for Masters Week. I know you guys are too. Thank you guys for sticking with us for almost an hour here through Sam's internet, through AC's phone. I mean, it's just the karma difference. That's what it is, right? Right, guys?
That's why
we
are who we are.
That's exactly. We wouldn't change it for the world. So for AC, for Sam, I'm Jay Rueb, and we'll see you next time on the PGA Preview Podcast.